Good evening. Welcome to the Living in Utah live question and answer session here on Thursday evening. I'm Mike Gallagher. I'm a local real estate agent in the area. And on this episode, you're welcome to ask any kind of questions you want, whether it's on the state of Utah, if we want to talk about real estate, investing, you name it, things going on in the state of Utah. And if you're joining us from outside of the United States, you're welcome to ask, any kind of questions you want. If you've got general questions about the United States and things we do and things we don't do, by all means, shoot them at me. It's been a little bit of a different week here in Utah. I mean, the weather was almost 60 degrees, and then we got a storm front came through. We got some much needed snow and moisture, built our snowpack. We are in a drought situation, so we need all the moisture we can get. Temperatures have turned cold. It was chilly today. Daytime highs, probably about 30 degrees, 31 maybe, 32 if we're real lucky. If we're stretching the truth a little bit, 32 maybe. But no, probably about 30, 31 degrees. It's winter has come in. We had quite a few weeks there of mild temperatures, and now winter has come upon us. So what's happening in the news? The news is just, it's a sad day. It's a real sad day. I was actually running downstairs here because I was on the phone with a friend of mine that we went to high school with, and we both spent time together in Russia. So kind of brought us together. We haven't talked in a long time, and got to share some old time stories and some memories and what's currently going on. But what has unfolded over the last week to me has been a shock. Mr. Putin is probably a trillionaire, more than a billionaire, trillionaire. I think he's worth like 3 trillion. No one really knows how much he's worth, but I guess what's he bored now and he wants to just take over countries? It's a sad situation. What happened to peace and love? Peace and love. That's what I want. Peace and love. So, not too sure. Share a story with you. When I grew up in a military family, and most of my childhood was spent in what we call the DODS school system. Stands for Department of Defense schools. So most of my time was in Europe as a child. My mother's actually English. And so we enjoyed our time in Europe. And I got to go to school on a military base, Department of Defense school system. When I was in high school, I had the opportunity to go to Russia. So took the opportunity, went as a young teenager. And it was a different experience. I really did appreciate. It taught me a life lesson to appreciate what I have and to appreciate Western culture. It was definitely a life lesson. We got off the plane to armed guards, Russian military. You had to exchange your dollars for rubles at the time. They would not let their currency leave the country. So when we left, we had to exchange the money again. It was different. It was really different. On one aspect, I couldn't wait to go home. But on another aspect, it was a life lesson that I will never forget. So some of the things that at the time, this is during the Cold War, many years ago, during the height of the Cold Wars when I was there, and there was not American products in the country, and people there literally tried to buy my clothes like this, Levi jeans I wore, I believe, something like that. As a teenager, Nike shoes, Adidas shoes, et cetera, et cetera. People would come up to you on the street and they want to buy your clothes right off of you, just so they could have a part of Western culture. And at one point, we actually got our hotel broken into, and they actually stole clothes. And as a teenager, we thought it was disgusting. Who would wear someone else's clothes? Oh, that's terrible. But they wanted Western culture so bad, they were willing to steal for it. And it was definitely a eye opener. Very good experience. Definitely appreciate what we have here in the United States. So there you go. Little story. Probably told you a little bit more. But anyways, that's why I was on the phone. The person I was talking to actually was with me and in Russia there. All right, Frank H. Hello, crazy week in Utah. 4-year-old shoots at cops. Yeah, I've got that story right here. I was going to talk about that. Helicopter crashes at ski resort. Correct. And also here, there is going to be a worse drought than last year due to limited snowpack. So, first of all, let's talk about the snow. I think we're catching up a little bit to maybe numbers a little bit better than what they were last year. I think we're gonna catch up there. Hopefully, I think we're about level right now, but I'm hoping. Yeah, helicopter crash, Black Hawk helicopter, military Black Hawk helicopter crashed at right next to Snowbird Ski Resort. They were doing a training mission. So it was a day where we had the snowstorm come in. So possibly low visibility might have led to it. Not too sure. No one really knows at this time. But 2 helicopters collided on a military training mission is what the official story is at the moment. And we have a 4-year-old who shot at police officers. So I believe the father and son, the 4-year-old, it's hard to say if 4-year-old shoots at police officers. To me, a 4-year-old is a baby. It's hard to describe, but they were at the McDonald's drive-through, I believe, and got into a confrontation. And at one point, they had a gun in the car, and the 4-year-old opened fire on police officers. So, yeah, sad situation. Sad. Even when you watched it on the news, they had a lady on from the police department, and she had said through her whole police career, she's never witnessed anything like this before. So sad. Yes, it did happen in Utah. So we are not a perfect state. So great. All right, Kenny. Are there any new subdivisions that are in the 150 to 200 range in the Salt Lake suburbs? Well, 150 to 200, honestly, will buy you a lot to build on. Then you got to build the house on. If you're looking for a home in the 150, 200 range, no, not at all. Not at all. It just, the pricing has surpassed that. I don't know. I currently cannot think of an area in the state of Utah that I know of or that I work out of that has a $150,000 to $200,000 price range on a single family home. Now we're talking about like a mobile home. Yes, there are mobile homes for sure that you can purchase. There's a possibility, some of the areas I don't cover, like some of the rural parts of the state, like Vernal, Delta. There's quite a few areas that are more rural, quite a distance away from say, the Salt Lake Valley. It's possible that you could find a home maybe for 150 to 200K, but I'm not too sure. I know in some of those areas, the market is not as booming as the Salt Lake Valley. And the reason being is when we're talking Logan down to Spanish Fork, Provo area, the whole, what we call the Wasatch Front, and let me include St. George in that also. That is where the majority of the jobs are in the state, in those areas. So for someone to live in an area like Vernal has been hard hit. That whole area out there has been hard hit. They've been a town that has boom and bust. Dependent on oil production. A lot of oil rigs out that way. There's been times where it's been a booming town, lots of workers, lots of great paying jobs, and then there's been downturns. And currently, my guess would be that's an area that more people are moving out of than moving into. But, to have a job, say, in Salt Lake City and to commute to somewhere like Vernal, that's quite a drive, very far drive. So, okay. Any more questions as I covered the one on the 4-year-old who shot at police officers, and we had the Black Hawk helicopter go down. And that was an amazing or very lucky situation. There were literally skiers right in the area, and no one was injured. I don't believe anybody on the helicopter was injured. I believe they walked away, but as far as I know, no injuries. What is the weather typically like in March? Well, March is normally, for me, the start of spring. Usually, odds are any kind of moisture that comes across will typically be in the form of rain instead of snow. Maybe not the first to second week of March, because we're still a little bit of cool temperatures. So it'll probably be in the snow formation. And then as we get towards the middle of March, typically they're on probably snow in the mountains, rain in the valleys on a normal year. Kind of wish the Jazz would represent Salt Lake City more. They have never really worn any jersey to honor the city. Also, the 2023 All-Star Game is Utah 2023 rather than Salt Lake City. Oh, gotcha. I see what you're saying. Yeah, the All-Star Game is coming here, so that'll be great. That'd be exciting. I'd like to get tickets. So, have you seen housing prices start to level out or decline? Well, good question. Great question. I don't know about the statistics this week now that we've had the Russia-Ukraine incident. So I got to, excluding this week, whatever the data will be for this week when it comes out. We're actually seeing the beginning of this year increase. Kind of like leveled off November, December a little bit, maybe even dropped just a slight bit during some of that time period. But we've seen an increase. And I've noticed an increase also. There are a lot more people looking for a home. And the main reason is interest rates are rising, and they have risen over the last couple months. Gone are the 3% loans on a 30-year mortgage. 15-year mortgage, you could probably still get something, probably in the lower threes, maybe if you buy it down a little bit. But your typical 30-year mortgage, last I heard, was around a 3.9 area. So rates are increasing, and that has brought more buyers to the market, more multiple offers, less homes on the market. Our inventory is shrinking even more. So, there were times last year where I seen inventory down to about 1,900 homes. That's the whole Wasatch Front. That's Logan down to Provo, Spanish Fork area. I think we dropped to about 1,700. Not too sure what it is this week, but yes. So pricing, maybe a slight uptick, maybe steady. Will that continue where we're going? Who knows? I don't know where the economy is going over the next few months with what just happened today. There's a lot of uncertainties. So, but, that being said, as far as, and I get asked this all the time, do you feel the market's going to crash, Mike? And I guess my instant answer would be no. Anything can crash. Stock market can crash. The housing market can crash. I mean, there's a lot that can happen. But this time around, what we learned during COVID, the government now has tools in their toolbox to prop up the housing market. Where in 08, 09, they had the tools. I don't know if they knew about the tools and didn't deploy them. And what I mean by that is when COVID hit, one of the tools that they used was the mortgage moratorium, where they literally, people who were affected by COVID, they told them, you do not have to pay your mortgage. And in most cases, they tacked that money on the back end of their loan. So we now have that tool available in the government's tool belt. They could come out if the housing market dropped, they could come out and say, hey, instead of having foreclosures or people losing their homes, we can do a mortgage moratorium and to get through the times. And that's what we did during COVID, and it worked. And the second thing they deployed during that time period was the feds. They were buying back mortgages, mortgage securities. They were buying them off of banks and mortgage companies, et cetera, which freed up the credit market. So those loans came off their books. So they were free to go get more loans, which led to competition. And there was a huge refinance boom. A lot of purchases went on throughout COVID. Banks could loan more. They wanted a business. They got some off their books. They sold those loans to the government, and competition led to lower rates. The government right now has backed off that. They are pulling back on purchasing and mortgage-backed securities. I don't know if they've totally pulled back, but they were buying billions of dollars in loans per month throughout the height of COVID. So they have those tools in their tool belt. So if the market would crash, come down, they could deploy these particular tools to help prop up the market. And that's what they tried to do during COVID. They got nervous during COVID. People weren't going to work. People weren't out looking at homes, and they were worried about the real estate industry. And they helped out the whole real estate industry with mortgage, also rent moratoriums. Few different items they have in their tool belt. So I think that if we do try to go to some kind of downturn in the housing market, the government might step in and use some of those tools that they have that worked very effectively, very effectively. Also, the Jazz new logo jerseys and colors were leaked online. Neon yellow, black, and white. I heard something about the black and yellow or something like that. Kind of like the Beehive theme, but those old purple mountain uniforms are probably the best uniforms ever. When I started reading that, I thought the exact same thing. The ones that John Stockton, Karl Malone used to wear, the purple with the mountain sea, and I think it had a bit of snow on them. That was my favorite. That by far was my favorite. And it describes Utah, on one shirt. That is exactly what Utah is. You have the mountains with the snow-capped mountains, and we live right next to the mountains. It's right. Perfect jersey. Perfect jersey. What's the best online resource to determine the value of a home? Well, if you're looking for, let me tell you first of all. Let's go the first. So Zillow. Zillow will not give you the most accurate. We are what they call a non-disclosure state. So they don't have all the resources, but they do use computer algorithms and stuff to try to generate something. But if you're just looking in general, that would be a good resource. If you are looking at a particular home, send me an email with some details and I can get you some data on what has sold in that particular neighborhood and let you brew through everything. You'll get square footage, you'll get garage, you name it, price. And I can help you with some of that stuff. And if you would like. Okay. Do the road dips at some of the residential street intersections annoy residents here? I've lived in 5 states, including Utah. Okay. I guess I haven't paid any particular attention to road dips. Are we referring to like a U shape? I can tell you that Utah's roads in general are higher in it depends on when the road was done, but the newer roads are slightly higher in the center than they are at the edges, and that's for rain runoff, so that the rain will run off into the gutters and down the street and not make puddles of water. That is how they're doing a lot of especially the blacktop roads. So it does a little bit of like a mountain shape in a sense. Some people will sometimes they'll go down some roads, think there's something wrong with their car because it'll drift a little bit to the right, but it's actually normal because the road actually slopes for the runoff on the water. So that has been done intentionally so that the water will go to the side. I'm usually careful as much as I can, but it easily scratches the bottom of cars. Okay. Yeah, I'm a little lost on the question, but maybe we're referring also to some of the driveway entrances. Yes, those are. They can scrape some vehicles going in and out of businesses, driveways, et cetera. So beyond that, I guess when I've traveled to other states, I haven't paid a whole lot of attention. So Kenny, love your channel and all that you put into it. Thank you. Hey, I appreciate the comments. That's I appreciate that. I do. Really do appreciate that. I don't know if you were and I don't remember the exact comment, but it was a comment that was made, I believe, on last week's live edition or the week before, where someone said, basically in a nutshell, that people in Utah were ugly pedophiles. So I guess I got labeled an ugly pedophile. But Kenny, I enjoy doing the channel. I really love it. I think that Utah is a great place to live. It's probably one of if you had to rank places in the United States, I think we do deserve to be on the upper end of the list. I will never say that it is the greatest place in the country. I don't believe there is one place that would be great for everybody. Everybody has different tastes and desires and hobbies and interests. So, if you're a beach person, like the Miami Beach or something like that, it's a lot different than Utah. So what is a hidden secret in Utah that only locals know about? Good question. Really where it comes, what people keep to themselves a little bit is some of the good camping spots, fishing spots, UTV spots. That is the secrets right there. People find a good or hunting spot that they like to go to time and time again, and they usually will not tell a lot of people about it. They just don't want the crowds coming to the same place to ride UTVs or go fishing, et cetera, et cetera. So I would say that that would be the hidden secret, is some of the outdoor recreational spots. Yeah, Frank H. Yeah, Antelope Island is a little bit on the radar. Part of that's due to the fact that it was closed. So it's only been open for maybe the last 5 to 10 years. I can't remember when they opened it up, but so it just hasn't had a lot of publicity. I think it will become more popular as it gets out there. I'll never reveal my fishing hole. There you go, Evan. There you go. That's the thing in Utah that people keep hidden. They'll find a spot, and the main reason is it's not that they don't want to share where they go fishing or something. Is the crowds and everything. You know, when some people, when they go fishing or UTV riding or hiking or backpacking or mountain biking, part of what they enjoy is being out there by themselves or with their loved ones, or and not have the crowds around them. So I know there's places that I'll take the dog for a walk that I enjoy how quiet it is, very few people, et cetera, and just the whole outdoor experience and being very quiet. So yeah, that's probably the best kept secret, is some of the great places to fish or hunt, UTV ride, etc. So and on that note too, I do not know a great fishing spot. So most of my fishing has been done in Idaho. My father-in-law is a very big fisherman, so he knows the great spots in Idaho to go. So that's the best thing. Go with somebody who is a good fisherman or hunter or, you know, backpacker. You'll find the best spots. Evan, if I find a patch of black morel mushrooms, I won't say exactly where I found them either. Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. Any more questions this evening? Appreciate all the questions. It's been great. I will honestly say my mind has been on world news all day. I have been on my phone or on the computer. Yes, kind of not prepared for tonight a little bit. So it has distracted me a little. I'm taken back and was hoping that some love and peace out there. Saw some documentary about ancient Egyptian artifacts in Utah, mostly in the southern region. Kind of crazy if the Egyptians made it to Utah, but it could be BS. Yeah, I haven't heard of that. But there is some unique things that they do find down in southern Utah, in the middle of Utah. So stocks rallied on a day of doom. Yeah, well, good. I noticed that too. I had my eye on that because I got hammered overnight. I woke up this morning and I had stocks running. I hadn't closed out, and I was down thousands of dollars that I probably should have known better. And that's something I need to work on. I need to work on doing some research on if there's a program that when the portfolio of my stocks go down a certain amount, it will automatically close out trades. Because I've got a lot of trades open with take profits and stop losses, and that pretty much go automatic. And that's where I got burned, because they were still running all night. Because I pretty much do the Forex market, so it goes 24 hours a day, from Sunday night through Friday afternoon. And I woke up this morning to thousands of dollars in the hole. Well, actually, no, it wasn't as bad, but this morning I thought it was going to recover, and it got worse and worse. And I could have shut it off then manually, but I didn't. I didn't. So, but yeah, should have known it was coming. How's your day going? My day is going great. As good as it can be for the day that we had today around the world. So I think there are many people around the world in shock and dismay today, including, we can't forget, some of the people, maybe even the majority of the people in Russia, who do not agree to this. There are citizens that are living there that do not agree with what is going on. And it gives them a bad name. And I feel bad for that situation too. So some good people in that country that do not want war, and it has been brought upon them. So, yeah, sad day. Any more questions this evening before I call it a night? And a couple days ago, crappy roads in the morning, gusty winds in the evening around Layton. Yeah, 100%. Yep. We had some snowfall and some high winds that came through. And cold temperatures also brought cold temperatures. It was warmer this weekend. I was out golfing this weekend. It was great afternoon. Saturday afternoon, got to play 9 holes of golf. Probably 60 degrees. So the worst part, China is probably going to invade Taiwan now. Yeah, yep, you're absolutely right. And I don't know what's going to happen on that either, on that front. So what are we going to impose on China? Tell them, hey, we're not going to buy your goods anymore? Well, the United States relies on China. That's where most of our stuff comes from. And right now we're having a hard time with deliveries. If we cut off that trade through China, if they went to war against Taiwan, I don't know where it's going to leave us. But yeah, that's the next, because China's aligned right with Russia. So yeah. Yep. Don't know about that situation or how that's going to work out, but definitely would be another sad situation. Any more questions this evening before I call it a night? Well, I hope everybody take care and stay safe. See you again next weekend.